GCCs or Global Capability Centers are uh, proliferating at a breakneck speed in India. This is something which is also fueling real estate, the commercial side of real estate at this point of time. A quick look at some of the data around GCCs will give you the true picture of the scale, and it's yet growing, mind you. GCCs at this point of time, India is home to close to about 2,000 GCCs and it's growing at 10% CAGR. GCCs already employ close to about 2 million people. GCCs are also projected to grow from $65 billion worth of revenue to about $100 billion in next couple of years and growing at about 13% CAGR. So that's about the scale of GCCs. Today we're going to discuss how technology is playing a role in the growth of GCCs, how it is enabling the construction side of it and making it far more efficient and making it grow faster. GCCs play multiple roles. GCCs traditionally have been support systems, they have been backroom offices, if you say so. But of late, they have taken a new avatar. GCCs today are transformation hubs for a lot of global organizations. Whether it's process oriented, whether it's technology related, whether it's a transition that an organization wants, GCCs have started playing a key role. They have become a hub for innovation and R&D. Today we're going to discuss how technology is shaping a lot of these things. And to discuss this, I have got a stellar panel. Namaskar, I'm Prasoon Kumar. You're watching this new episode of The Property Show on MBTV, world's largest real estate channel. Let me start with introduction of our guests. In the studio, I've got Mr. Bharat Bahl, who is Joint Managing Director of Krishna Build States Private Limited. They are a leading construction firm based out of Delhi NCR. We have Mr. Ajay Gupta, who is Principal Consultant and Founder of Perceptive Ideas Consulting Engineers Private Limited. It's a techno-commercial structural design solution providing organization. And we are joined by Mr. Vikram Ahuja, who's co-founder of ANSR, which is a leading provider for solutions for GCCs. Right. So let's start this conversation. Let me come to you, Vikram, first. If you have to simplify GCCs or concept of GCCs for our users, what would it be?
Sure. So firstly, Prasan, thank you for having me. So very simply put, a global capability center is a strategic office or a location that an international company sets up in a talent-rich hub like India. So think of a large bank like Citibank or JP Morgan, or think of a large retailer like Walmart or Target, or think of a technology company like Airbnb or Uber. These companies today are looking for talent that can help them drive the next wave of technology and innovation. And, in many cases, in markets like India, we have highly skilled professionals that are today doing incredible work. And so therefore, a global capability center allows these companies to access top talent and continue to build the next generation of their business. So in many ways, think of it as just another office, but also with the purpose of driving faster growth, faster access to technology, and giving them teams that can produce a lot of value back to the company.
Bharat, what's your take on this? I mean, from an Indian viewpoint, how do you see GCCs?
I think GCCs honestly is the future. The STEM talent in India specifically, I think, goes way beyond any other country. Specifically in our tier 2, tier 3 cities, the more people we can get into the digital economy, I think that'll be a big boost for our country. Even the PM Modi's Viksit Bharat, imagine the vision, is purely centered around development of GCCs and digital transformation of the country. And at the root of all, see, data changes any industry from being a reactive industry to a more predictable industry. And I think data is the future. So I think GCCs bring in a huge scope of growth. And I think we are politically and internationally well placed to take advantage of this.
Ajay, since GCC is going to be a sort of hub or center for a lot of innovation to come out, is this finally going to catapult India, from a service to a product-oriented kind of a society?
Yeah, of course. As we know, we have a large talent within our country. From decades, the IT industries had boomed up. Even the retail marketing and all those things has taken place. So surely, when these GCC centers are set up in India, of course, the companies are coming because we have a good talent. The available resources are there. Land banks are there. Even the government departments are supporting for the construction of GC center because it requires a huge built-up spaces to accommodate the millions of workers and all those things. So definitely, not only the service industry will India will be move forward for a product-oriented company also in that way.
What is the action happening on the GCC space now? Where all do you think this is now in India taking its roots, and how is it spreading?
See, GCC, like if you talk about the tier two cities, apart from the metros like Jaipur is there, Bhubaneswar is there, then Pune, Chandigarh, all these cities are welcoming the GCC's model. Even the government are pushing with the huge land banks with acquisitions. There are many efforts are going on to reduce the approval processes, sanction processes for the building plans on all these things. Then we have in India, we are very well equipped with the technology, especially the construction technology, the design capabilities. So those are all these factors are coming into it. And then we have a huge labor bank in our country. The materials are there. So all these factors, when put in together, so like we are on a right track, I think, in that way.
Bharat, how are you seeing this expanding now geographically within India? Is it going really beyond tier one? And what is the potential, as per you, lie from a real estate perspective of GCC?
So, for me, in my view, the expansion is majorly going to happen where the local state governments are going to be supportive. And we have seen major initiatives being taken by many of the states down south, north, and specifically the west of the country. And I think the tier two cities like Indore, Bhubaneswar, Warangal, near Hyderabad, all these places stem to benefit a lot from these policies, and it brings a lot for everybody. It brings a lot for everybody who wants to be a part of this ecosystem. So GCCs bring with them a big ecosystem, creating ripple effects of development, last mile connectivities, and the so-called requirement of integration of various infrastructure requirements. I think it'll push the entire industry forward in a big way.
Okay.
Right. And what was the second part of your question, if I may ask?
So I wanted to understand how do you see the potential therefore of growth from here on?
So the potential here lies majorly in development of what we call hybrid models and mixed use models, which were earlier considered to be a combination of commercial and residential. Now we have added a data center as a third parameter to that. And people who can probably generate businesses around a live, work, and play kind of formats, they can really take advantage of this GCC and the ecosystem it will garner. I think we are all very well placed to, probably move forward in a very positive way.
Sure.
And develop infrastructure around these GCCs. I think for us as a company, this can really catapult into a big, massive boost as far as.
It's absolutely driving the commercial side.
Absolutely. And it also develops it helps develop new technology. So in India, we are not currently too focused on ESG as a goal. But I think with GCCs coming in, I think construction will also need to rapidly change.
Sure.
And we'll have to build scalable construction models. We'll have to go into different technologies that are sustainable, that are modular. And at the same time, very quickly, the requirements of GCCs are actually are really short in timelines, and I think high on MEP capabilities. And I think garnering those capabilities is our focus at KBE now, and we are actively taking initiatives to achieve that.
So time sensitivity and technology, some of these things are crucial. Vikram, what are the resources really required to set up a GCC?
Sure. So, Prasan, I think as my fellow panelists also mentioned, GCCs today are not a 2 or 3 city play. This is genuinely a pan-India play. You've got tier 2 cities, you've got tier 3 cities, you've got a lot of mobility of talent. So in many ways, successful GCCs are about talent, right? Can you build the best team and provide the best resources for that team to be productive and for these offices to scale as the company sees more success coming out of the GCC, right? So fundamentally, what companies look for when they are looking to set up these centers, and in many cases, these centers can become very large, right? I mean, the largest center we've set up ended up scaling to about 33,000 professionals. So the core requirement here really is access to talent and everything that supports the enablement of hiring people and giving them a very productive environment to succeed. Now, if you look at talent density itself as a component of setting up a successful GCC, then that means that you need to be able to provide, infrastructure and resources that allow you to, attract talent and then give them a place to essentially work, come in every day and do the best work that they can. What we're seeing is GCCs end up creating clusters. So that's why tech parks have been very successful. The reason for that is you have a lot of mobility and convenience around how these places can be accessed. Of course, connectivity is critical, right? These are centers that need to be providing extremely critical functions and be available 24/7. So power reliability as well. Scalability. As companies expand, they want to make sure that they have access to land and office space that can be close to each other, so that offices and teams can feel at one. And then finally, I think as was said earlier as well, GCCs are evolving into hybrid models. It's not just offices. You have data centers, you have training centers, you have entire sort of ecosystems that are being set up around GCCs today. So ensuring that you can have all of those available in a manner where it really sort of provides the comfort and confidence for some of these global companies to invest billions of dollars, right? So that's really what we're seeing in terms of successful GCC. And in many ways, I think India today as a market is also matured, where we've created the right environment for the ecosystem to develop.
So quick construction turnaround time, access to a lot of technology and scalability. Some of these are crucial factors. Ajay, I wanted to understand, therefore, what are the kind of technology that is right now being used to construct GCCs and to grow them further? Because the key requirement of quick turnaround and scalability, these sound very modular in terms of their.
So like GCC construction is slightly different from what we are seeing in our country. The office spaces are like it's more free kind of a spaces. Like in GC centers, we have a large column grid spacing. That means the column is far away. The one column is far away because these are all the centers. It's a free flowing workflows is there. Okay. Like in our normal orthodox offices, we have cabins for managers, for senior level, and meeting rooms. Whereas in GC center, I believe it's a free flow, so anybody can sit anywhere. So that kind of things are there. So in terms of the construction technologies, like right now, from the decades, we are using concrete as a basic material of our construction. But when we go to the GC centers, where the turnaround time is very less, so like and it's a millions of square feet has to be built, more or less, like as a ratio, it's almost like 50% is the utility space in terms of the parking, basement, and 50% is the usable space, the workspace. So like you have to build 200%, what is the requirement. So in terms of the construction, it's a huge scalable things are there. So now we are targeting for a structural steel, which are the shop made fabricated things can be used. It can be built somewhere, any part of the India, it can be transported. So likely simultaneously something is happening at the site, something is happening, half the product is happening at the workshop. So those can be assembled, transported in that
so a lot
way.
Of
prefab kind of a thing. Then nowadays we are using a lot of external devices to control the earthquake forces, seismic activities, to to enhance the building performance during the strong wind forces, or when there's a storm is there. So in that case, we are using external devices to enhance the building performance, to make it more robust. Then we have real-time data monitoring is there in the construction, like so that the cost and time when we got skipped, it can be raise a flag where to focus more critical points and all those things. So I think these are the real demand, or it's a requirement to build up such GCC centers of that kind.
Okay. So Bharat, how much of this is actually right now being used, and what kind of new technology do you think is likely or should we be getting in our construction to really make it happen?
I think construction now finally we have started making use of data.
Okay.
Earlier there was a big void where people were not concerned about data. I think with these enabling centers that we are planning, the data that has already been generated is being used to formulate into a formal platform. And at KB we are using digitalized dashboards for our teams. Giving access to our clients for the same to help them real-time monitor the progresses, take actionable intelligence, decisions based on actionable intelligence, and at the same time on ground, I think, like my learned co-anchor said, that we have PEB coming up in a big way, and that is the short way of controlling timelines. And India has a perennial problem where I think we have the least time on ground and maximum time in planning. Abroad, it does help you because then everything is straightforward. But in this country, I think at ground, the time given to the real people is less, and we are using technology now to probably predict, pre-plan, and strategize properly how we can improve our timelines on ground.
So one thing is to get technology. The other is also to have a skill set to actually use that. And do we today have labor forces which are as skilled and learned to use some of these, say, prefabs, or how to really put this together? Do we have all of that available?
I would say yes. I think with the digital transformation in this country, and I think we all would acknowledge that I think a smartphone is no longer a luxury. And the kind of systems and ease of use technology-driven products are available in the market. I think we at KB don't find it so challenging anymore to probably encourage people, motivate people to use them productively. And at the same time, the talent pool in this country is probably one of the biggest in the world. Like I said, the STEM talent in this country, they just need proper training.
But I meant within construction. So when you're doing construction, you have...
We have skilling centers, we have, training workshops, we have actually good, centers that can help your teams understand their products. We have support, back-end support. Okay. So much more ecosystem is developed over the last couple of years to productively use this technology now. Okay. I think it's very different from 10 years back when even internet in some places that we were working was a challenge. But over the last 10 years, I think even in the remote places that we work as an organization, I don't think internet is no longer a challenge. And that was the starting point to be able to use technology productively.
Vikram, when you're working with clients to set up GCCs, what are the kind of requirements, technology-related demands that clients have? That they want not only during construction but also inside that.
So you mean in terms of the kind of people they're bringing on for the work they need to do?
Correct, and capabilities. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, GCCs are all about talent. It's about helping these companies build the future versions of themselves. So in many ways, if you look at the evolution of GCCs, or if you look at the evolution of global teams itself, I think India as a destination has evolved from, sort of low-end business process and knowledge processing outsourcing work today to becoming a center where you're hiring extremely capable, skilled resources across emerging technologies. So today, a lot of the work that is done in GCCs is around technology and innovation. So if you look at emerging technologies such as AI, data engineering, a lot of building out of software engineering products, cloud, cybersecurity. This is sort of the skill that drives a majority of functions. But in addition to that, today also you're looking at roles in finance, in analytics, across customer success functions, and so on. So GCCs today represent, the top, I would say, 10% of skill base that a lot of large companies will look to build in the future. And in that way, I think, the requirements are also continuing to evolve as we enter into a world where AI becomes more and more critical for not just large companies, but any company in general. We are seeing now that the asks from companies are shifting towards these technologies, right? So what is coming up in the next 12 months, right? Where should my company be, for the next 5 years, and how do I hire people who are going to get me there? So again, as was pointed out, I think we're very lucky as a country. We've got, large talent pool that is very skilled and is bringing a lot of these skills to these companies, which is why GCCs in India are becoming such a force to reckon with.
Bharat, the skill is available, right? But the skill is largely concentrated in and around metros because that's where employment opportunities have been generated traditionally, and therefore there's a huge amount of migration. We're a country of migrants anyway. Huge amount of migration happens of technical skills, to these places. However, land banks are now, almost kind of saturated, or a lot of cities cannot expand beyond a certain limit, right? Is this a problem that one will have to grapple with in future, or GCCs will have to move to essentially tier 2 towns to really build the kind of capability, millions of square feet, as I was saying, and quick scalability and a lot of these things?
So migration, I would say, has always been a need, right? And once we can generate an ecosystem that probably attends to the need, this migration can be controlled. The STEM talent in tier 2, tier 3 cities, which is actually the real India, is immense. And if with GCCs, government supports, SEZs, I think a whole ecosystem can be developed to encourage people to initiate, a propaganda that they stay where they are, and there's enough job availabilities for them. I think they will also prefer being where they are. And tier 2, tier 3 cities have to be at the helm. I cannot say they will. I think they have to be at the helm of this growth because of the basic requirements of the GCC infrastructure. So metros already are at a congested level, and to have that kind of land bank infrastructure, available for these GCCs at all times, I think might be a challenge. But then again, some of them will obviously come up in metros also. And currently, if I have a split, I think 50% would still be metros. But I think the next 5-10 years, there should be a shift towards the tier 2, tier 3, especially when the government takes a big initiative on these accounts. I think that is the most enabling factor for any industry to prosper.
So Ajay, as this shift happens, what are some of the things that we need to be ready with in on the construction side, on the construction technology side, to really be able to deliver to the demand that is going to come? If the shift happens really to the tier 2, tier 3 towns, in metros you do have the construction skill set, the manpower, everything, and there is a ready ecosystem sort of to build. For that ecosystem to build in tier 2, tier 3 towns, is that readily available, or will it take time?
No, I don't think it's a major challenge because the construction is all about the machinery and the workers, and the naturally available material is there. So all these tier 2 cities, even they are not like the remote cities; they are well connected with the metro cities. So construction can easily shift there, and in fact, as of now, also many constructions, huge scale projects are happening in the tier 2 cities. Even I'm involved. Mr. Bharat will be involved into that. So we don't think any major challenge. So we are already equipped with this as a country. So it can be easily managed into it.
Okay. So did you speak about some of the different things in construction that we'll have to look at, including prefabs and a lot of other things. If you can just elaborate on that, how constructing a GCC is going to be different from how traditionally an office is getting constructed today?
So see, GCC majorly the sole client is on a very corporate office. So like first shift, a mindset shift has to be done. Like all the construction activities has to meet the international standards.
Okay.
Even the designs are evolve into it, so that should be like it should meet the international standards. All these construction activities like design should support that these GCC centers can expand in near future. And as of now, when we are GCC is mostly about the youngsters. So like we have large green spaces, so buildings will not expand horizontally, it will expand vertically. So we have high-rise towers will be there. So in that terms, like that mind shift has to be done. A proper documentation is there. Like we have to implement technologies like BIM, which is the building information modeling, so that we can capture the lifetime data during construction and even post construction, once GCC centers are commissioned, like how buildings are behaving, we keep on improvising the things based on the inputs we are coming from the workforce, the people working into it. So that's a slightly different thing from a traditional or the orthodox construction what we are doing and what GCCs are demanding into it. And it has to be an cost driven, time driven activity. It cannot linger on to such, because everything is linked with each other. It cannot, the cost should not escalate. So like Mr. Bharat said, it has to be planned very well initially.
And operationally controlled.
Operationally controlled in that way.
And a lot of requirement for, say, green technologies or sustainability.
Sustainability, the carbon content has to be reduced. So on those factors, nowadays also, it's not that we are far behind into that. We are working on that.
We are the fourth largest LEED certified.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So we are close to that. So those things we are already doing. Yes, it has to be meticulously done for the GC centers when we are doing it to it.
So Bharat, what challenges will it pose for construction companies really to build a lot of these things or to put a lot of these things in construction? And how do you see, Ajay mentioned about world-class output, right? How do you define a world-class output versus what we are constructing today?
I think the big focus change that we're already observing in the market now is that now finally people are ready to pay for what they want. I think that was a big gap between people wanting something and when it came down to numbers, everybody used to withdraw from this is too much. Right? I think with the global SOPs that these GCCs bring as their own requirements, I think companies that quickly adapt to this requirement and try and actually overreach them rather than, because these are all evolving kind of requirements, and budget a typical construction project is of a minimum 12 months. And so by that time, a lot of things move further. So our products need to be able to quickly adapt to the new standards, new requirements. And so I think a big plus, like I said, was that the financial consideration of the requirements is now being given its due importance. And the challenges remain across, probably more meticulous planning and being able to arrange the resources on ground, because the manpower in this country, do we feel is extreme, is still a little challenging. And we have especially in metros now, we started having NGTs, and this is actually spread to a countrywide phenomena now in many places, no longer restricted to Delhi, to be honest. It's now Supreme Court has mandated it to be followed pan-India. And these kind of challenges do encourage a lot of migrant labor to return back. And typically one entity sets us back by about 2 months, I would say. And we've been all grappling with this challenge over the last decade, and finding out ways to encourage labor to stay, reimbursing them fully. And I think these kind of challenges will remain on ground. However, I think there's extreme focus on developing the tech, developing the products that help us achieve these goals of carbon footprint, ESG. It is just a mindset, to be honest. It's not that it's not Indians who are doing this abroad. It's Indians only who are building Dubai, building the Middle East, building. It's Indians, right? So it's just about bringing the same mindset to your own country and being able to fulfill that cost requirement.
But within India, we are not really known for the operational efficiency of sorts in construction, especially. How do you think that is going to come back?
So again, I think in my first opening, I said that we need to make it a more predictable kind of operating industry rather than a very, it's a very reflex-bound industry where we actually react and cannot possibly pre-plan, because it has a lot of force majeure, it has a lot of other concerns. Everybody has a stake to enable this industry to perform better, and I think we can address these challenges. A lot of them are being taken proactively. Sure. I think with tech, the data that was already there is going to be more productively used, and real-time monitoring, real-time intelligence. Obviously, you take better decisions, and GCCs require a huge upgradation of our skill sets in India. To be honest, the MEP requirements, the modular and sustainable, they still can do a lot better. They have to fit into the Indian climatic zones, Indian weather conditions, and a lot of more innovation and probably focus is required to develop these products for India specifically.
So Vikram, as you work with global MNCs, because they are the big ones who are setting up large scale GCCs in India, and they are rolling out their standardized, SOPs for Indian construction companies and Indian designers to plan for, right? Do you see any challenge? Do you see any gap in terms of their expectation was versus what we are able to deliver?
Yeah, so Prasanna, before I answer that, let me just put into context the importance of real estate and office space for these companies, right? So for most of these companies, they have no brand, they have no presence. So when a large bank or a large retailer is setting up a GCC in India, they have no way for their employees to know who they are, right? There's no way to experience their company or their culture. What we've seen is, and today Answer, we oversee about 4.5 million square feet of real estate across our customers actively. What we've seen is workspace is a representation of this company's culture, right? It's a way for them to showcase who they are. So for example, for a lot of our retail customers, we've seen part of the office space is designed to be an actual store, right? So if you were to walk into that store in the US or Europe or wherever, it would represent what that store experience would feel like. Or a bank would have, again, an experience center that showcases to their employees what that company is about from a consumer standpoint, right? So the offices are designed to be almost like museums that showcase company and culture to their employees. In many ways, for these companies that are setting up global capability centers, the first and biggest challenge that we face is often educating them on how India works. And there is a lot of detail and complexities that they have to understand about how business is done here. Today, we are delivering work that is to global standards, but of course the approach sometimes can differ to what they're used to. And what we find is a large part of the requests coming up upfront sometimes tend to be misinformed, right? So it could be in terms of completion timelines, it could be in terms of their role as sort of occupants of the space. We are briefing them and getting them aware on the compliance requirements, location strategy, how should they be thinking about representing their workspace, etc. So largely, I wouldn't say that there are challenges. I think as an industry, we have been extremely, proactive in creating an environment that allows global companies to succeed. But at the same time, I think there is a lot of work that continues to be done to help educate these global companies on how to build successfully in India, and quite honestly, what good looks like.
Ajay, one part of the challenge would be, as Bharat had also pointed out, that globally, especially in West, there is a certain standard of construction, right? And there's a certain way of construction. There's a lot of technology in construction. There's a lot of efficiency that kind of comes as a result of that. How much do we lag, really? And first of all, do we lag at all? And if at all, how much do we lag? If the investments are coming by, which Bharat was saying, that people are now willing to pay up as well. So that part of the that portion of the problem statement is kind of being taken care of. But really, from a technology point of view in construction, do we lag? How far do we lag? And given the kind of growth projections that we have for GCCs, how soon can we bridge that gap?
See, frankly, if I tell, we have like all these projects as a mixture of these things. Like I can grade it as a low, medium, and high. So we are involved into a project where the standards are high. Like it is as close to the international standards. We are working well into it. The things are planned in the way they executed, the monitoring, everything is happening. Then on the other side, there are low also. So when this GCC and all, when we are targeting such a company, so obviously we have to shift towards the high end thing. So right now we are involved into a high end product where our standards are meeting the international things. The proper plannings are done, proper simulation is done, the predictions are done, there's cost, time, everything is done. So we are like, as a country, as a designer, technocrats, or the construction companies, we have skill set to perform such activities. So I don't think we have a large gap into it.
Okay. talking about Vikram, I wanted to understand from you. One is technology in construction and how fast you can do, how fast you can scale it up, and so on and so forth. GCCs also require a lot of digital infrastructure. They require a lot of capability, to be built inside the GCCs themselves. What are some of those expectations?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said earlier, GCCs are 24/7 operations, right? The whole idea is to build centers that allow companies to do the work that they need to do at a very high level of security, but also predictability. So what we're seeing is from a digital infrastructure standpoint, connectivity, reliability, cost is a critical factor as well as these companies continue to grow. And I think as was pointed out earlier, traditionally GCCs have been, if you look at the market today, Bangalore and Hyderabad are the two leading cities for GCCs, followed by NCR and Mumbai and Chennai. But increasingly, as these cities get saturated and the companies start looking for alternative options, tier twos are becoming more and more critical to this story. I mean, we saw it in our portfolio, at least anywhere between 30 to 35% of demand now coming in for tier twos. But there is some work to be done. I think infrastructure and logistics are a challenge today. And I think that is improving. I think we're seeing a lot of digital India initiatives that are being launched today to improve the infrastructure in tier twos. The Honorable Finance Minister also called that out in her recent speech in Parliament, talking about the fact that there is a lot of effort going towards improving infrastructure in tier two, right? So largely this is where it is. And I think one final thing to think about as we move into space of AI and data is that, again, security of these centers become critical as more and more companies look at on-premise and building data centers as well, right? Which is going to be the next wave of requirements that I think our industry will be faced with.
Building on that point, Bharat, I wanted to know the safety and security of the buildings themselves, because they host data centers, they host the capability offices and all. Is there something innovative? Is there something different that GCCs require as against traditionally what we have been building per se?
So absolutely, I think we are now adapting international standards wherever GCCs are at least concerned, and it is highly enabled by tech, very close monitoring. I think so we've just actually finished one of the major data centers in UP, and it was also for a major international client. I think the major security protocols, even the government starts contributing, because these become products of national importance, and once it becomes something related to national importance, I think everybody contributes as an ecosystem to help develop these. And I do not think that the safety and security of GCCs in India is actually a concern for them, at least in the metros anymore. Okay. But for tier 2 and tier 3, yes, an infrastructure needs to be developed, which is obviously the roads, the entire townships need to be developed around these models, and I hope to see that in the near future.
Considering that real estate remains a state subject, and therefore from state to state there could be varied policies, and do they prove to be kind of a roadblock at this point of time? Should we have a unified policy? Because GCCs are important for us from jobs point of view, from positioning India as a leader in innovation and R&D space perspective. Do you see some challenges over there? Should there be a national thing, or it's perfectly fine?
I think some of those protocols will become national over time as a unified policy. Currently, I think the GCCs are taking advantage of this being a state subject to some extent, and we have certain proactive states who are encouraging this in a big way, and there we have certain of the laid-back states as well. So I think as an organization, GCCs stand to benefit currently, but over time a unified policy may streamline the entire process around this. Yeah.
Ajay, I just wanted to ask you, because you mentioned, sort of pillars have to be at great distances, and the image that came to my mind was Bharat Mandapam, which is virtually pillarless in a way, right? So from a structural design point of view, or from an architectural perspective, how different GCCs are going to be from normal office space, if you can just tell us for our viewers?
So first thing is like when the spaces pillars are far apart, so you see a large space, like columnless space. Even many buildings we design where you don't see pillars. So like they are all embedded architecturally, they are embedded, they are vanished from. Then we have a larger floor height to that, so that the volume you see it can be in a better way. That kind of things.
You mean
And
the floor to ceiling
floor to
ratio?
ceiling heights
Okay.
are more. Then nowadays we are more exposed. MEP systems are there, even the air conditioning ducts and all those things. So everything is visible into it.
Okay.
And just add to your previous question, which was to Bharat. GCC are looking for slightly stringent designs,
Okay.
like what we are doing for a regular building. So GCC are slightly a level up kind of a design.
Okay.
So that may be like the security in terms of the natural calamities, whether it's a wind or seismic activity, so
So
that
more
they can
strength to the
more
structure.
strength, and it has they need a criteria that because they cannot the process cannot hold for a while. It's not the continuous electricity, but even let's say if the seismic activity is there, so the designs we are designing in such a way, it's in the terms of design it's called the immediate occupancy. Like some seismic activity has come, earthquake has happened, but the buildings are designed in such a way nothing will
that you can
happen.
recover fast.
It is no, it not recover. It won't happen anything.
Okay.
So like the processes and all
So
those
it
things,
runs
it
as
won't
business
spoil.
as usual.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
usual kind of thing. Although those people will come out small, those things are there, but within 2 hours the life is normal or the work is normal in that way, kind of a thing.
Okay.
And one more
So
thing,
GCC will be the safest place to go to if there's an earthquake issue.
you can say it that way.
Okay.
No, it's not that way. Like even our buildings are also. It's our most.
No, sure, today, of course,
Yeah.
most
So
of them are
every
resilient.
building is earthquake resistant
Yeah.
buildings, but yeah, there are the operation may halt in this building. Whether because in GCC we take care of the even if a pipe is hanging from the ceiling, so it should not move during the earthquake. So that kind of intelligence or that kind of detailings we have to capture in this kind of centers are there.
Okay. And how much of getting into that and producing that kind of an output is a factor of investments and costs?
Yeah,
And how
obviously.
much of it is a factor of actually engineering imagination and design?
No, engineering imagination, yes, of course. There is a little more thought process. We have to walk an extra mile for that. But yes, in terms of cost, in terms of cost context, yes, there's a little delta is always there to achieve all these things.
Vikram, so how do you foresee GCC boom in India? Is it going to be as rosy and as optimistic as everyone is looking at it from your vantage point? What kind of expansion do you foresee?
Yeah, we last week released a report about the presence of global companies with GCCs. And if you look at the Fortune 500s today, less than 30% of them have GCCs, right? Which means that you have a huge room to grow. I think GCCs are not a question of if, but a question of when. Every global company will need to, at some point, think about the idea of a GCC, whether that's in India or not. Of course, is an opportunity for us to build on. But today GCCs represent a very mainstream strategy for any company to succeed. So to that extent, we are extremely bullish about the market. We feel that there is going to be far bigger growth than what we have even projected today in the official numbers, which is, saying something like 2,500 GCCs and about 110 billion in revenue. We feel that number is going to get much bigger than that. And big reason for that is, again, I'm going to go back to a theme that I've mentioned a few times, that AI is going to change a lot of how companies think about work itself. And what that is going to do is create a requirement for these businesses to look at talent very differently. And, as a country, I think we are taking a lot of the right steps to nurture that environment for these companies to come to India. So I think very excited about where GCCs are growing as a market. Also excited about the industry and ecosystem that we are building. I think, from talent to real estate to, even regulatory policies, you've got industry and governments coming together to support the growth of the industry, and finally, at the end of the day, I think we are looking at a very, very robust industry if we can continue to go down this path.
Bharat, what's your take? GCCs, how big, how large, and from a construction vantage point, do you think in next 5 years, 80% of the projects that you're going to pick up will be largely GCCs?
To be honest, not 80%, but could be related ecosystem requirements of GCCs, and it is a huge, opportunity that we have at our hands. And with the geopolitical scenario worldwide, I think India is rightly placed as a friend of many. And so I think as an opportunity, I see this as a big leap that can take us forward. Probably we can skip a couple of decades of growth and reach forward faster. And AI to be at the helm of all activities is probably something that everybody foresees. And it's also worrisome at the same time. But yes, it is the future. And I think see, the king of data is going to be the probably leading organizations in the world. If you talk about the top 10, 7 would be data related. And I think the amount of investment that this field has already commands, the support it has, I think I do see GCCs becoming a very important part of our portfolio.
I think 10 out of 10 would be data driven. Ajay, GCCs, do they also present a unique opportunity for India to emerge as a architectural, structural design, and in that space as a hub of?
No, of course, because see, it's not only the GC centers. When GC centers have come up, like many associated things are there. Like let's say when a GC center is set up in a tier 2 city, so naturally the demand for residential also grows up. So we need a large developing units are required. Then these multi-story buildings for the group housing, those things will come. Then again, the infrastructure development will boost in. So it's all a kind of a spiral will happen. So definitely India will emerge in terms of the technocrats, architects. Even we will be hiring people from the outside in that way. So definitely it will come in that.
So GCC is the buzzword, right? And our panelists are absolutely bullish about the growth prospects of GCCs, how GCCs are going to transform our landscape, how they are going to change the real estate landscape in India, how they are going to add to the GDP, to economic growth, and how they're going to position India as a hub of innovation, R&D, and therefore a country to reckon with. Right? We'll come back with many such interesting discussions for you. Keep watching MBTV and don't forget to like, share, and comment.